If you've ever hooked up a car battery, then you know you have to hook up both cables, positive and negative. It's not going to work. The car's not going to start. And this idea of positive and negative being necessary, I just see this as a concept everywhere, just all the time. Just same as a coin always has two sides. I've never seen a one-sided coin. And there was a woman I was working with, and I would refer to her as a positivity person, okay? The type of person that's always doing CrossFit, yoga, reading books like The Law of Attraction, The Power of Positive Thinking, And she had a lot of friends like this because she wouldn't allow anybody in her life that she would view as negative. So she had a super 100% positivity mindset. And I was working with her, and she was telling me about a friend of hers. This friend of hers, that horrible things were always happening to this woman. Really bad things. But no matter how horrible it was, she was always just so positive about it. She told me stories. One of them was she was living in an apartment in the city, and she had to take her trash out in an alley, throw it in a dumpster. And she went outside to do this after dark by herself, no protection. And it was a worst case scenario. She was assaulted, given a horrible disease that people die from, that there's no cure for, just the worst. But even through all that, she was just so positive, is what this woman I was working with was telling me about her friend. And I was just kind of taken back, like, don't you see what's happening here? Your friend is so positive that she doesn't think anything bad could possibly happen to her. The way you would look at people is, there's no bad people, they're all good people, they just need love and blah, blah, blah. When the fact is, there are bad people who do want to hurt you, as exemplified by this woman multiple times over, all the bad things that kept happening to this woman. And the woman I was working with, she was in a situation. She was divorced because her husband was an adulterer. He cheated on her. She divorced him. And at this time, she was engaged to be married again to a different man that worked in the same building as her. And I didn't know this. I found this out later, that the man she was marrying was divorced because he cheated on his wife. So you can guess where that story goes, right? Of course, they got married, he cheated on her, and she's divorced again. Because she's a positivity person, and she won't allow anybody to say anything negative about anything ever. So she doesn't allow people into her life with any skepticism at all. It's like she didn't have anybody in her life that could be honest with her and tell her, you shouldn't marry this man. This man's an adulterer, a proven adulterer, and you're about to marry him, and he's just going to commit adultery on you too. And if she had anybody in her life that had any sense and cared about her and loved her, they would have warned her, don't do this. Don't put yourself in this situation. Because what happens is, women like her and her friend, not just women, but in this case, women, they're so positive about everything that when you're to the extreme of positive like that, you're naive. That's all it is naivety. And so bad things are going to happen to you because you're not protecting yourself, because you don't think you need to, because you're just so positive, you're naive. Now, I bring this up because this is what I see in the modern Christian church. Their viewpoint of what they call the Old Testament and how they think of the Old Testament God is that he's harsh and vengeful, and they don't like him very much. But what they see as the New Testament God, well, he's kind and merciful and grace, and he came to save us, so they like him a lot, right? So that's all they talk about is the positivity. So they only talk about Jesus in the New Testament, and they don't really talk that much about God in the Old Testament. But their viewpoint is incorrect. They don't understand either, because there's two sides of the coin with both. There's positive and negative, if you want to call it that, with both. If you'll read about Yahweh, you'll see that he is merciful. He saves people. He's merciful. And then he's patient, while they're constantly breaking his commandments and worshiping other gods and doing all the bad stuff that they know they aren't supposed to do. They are rebellious, and he's patient with them for a long time. And eventually, it's time for justice. And they'll get carried off. And then he'll be merciful again, and he'll save them again. That's the story over and over and over. And it's the commandments. The commandments, the covenant is, if you do my commandments, I'll bless you. And if you don't do my commandments, I'll curse you. It's two sides of the same coin. And you see this throughout all of it. I think part of the problem might be is that when they look at the New Testament, what they call the New Testament, when they look at Christ, they only pay attention to one side of the coin. It's not that they only see it or that there is only one side, but we haven't seen the second side yet. But we know it's coming because it says it's coming. When he comes, it's the same pattern as Yahweh. You get saved, and it's all mercy and grace and so on. But you still have to follow the commandments. And in the end, when he comes back the second time, he comes back with the sword. It's going to be Judgment Day. It'll be the second side of the coin. It's the same story. The same story that you read about in what people call the Old Testament with Yahweh, and that people call the New Testament with Yeshua. It's the same story. But people don't view it this way because they just want to be the positivity people. They want to be like those women I'm talking about. They just wanted nothing but positivity, and they don't even want to think about the other side of the coin, and they're naive. And you have to think about both, because that's what happens. You're naive if you are only positive, but on the other side of the coin, if you're all negative, you're a cynic. Neither are good. You have to have that good balance. And so you have to have the correct mindset when you're reading about Yahweh and see his mercy and his justice. And you have to have the correct mindset when you're reading about Yeshua. Mercy, and there will be justice. So, read your Bible.